Good Tuesday morning. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk. This is an insider's guide to not only real estate, but life in general. And we've pivoted the model now that we're live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network. And we've pivoted to offer strategy, suggestions, opportunity, insight, perspective from experts in their field and how that expertise may apply to your life in this COVID-19 landscape. My name is Jerry Miller, Judah Wickhauer, studio camera. Let's welcome the star of the program, Keith, the distinguished gentleman Smith. Que pasa, amigo?
Que pasa, amigo? My mustache fell off on the way in.
You look good.
Oh, thank you. Wearing company colors.
He's got an orange mask that represents the Yes Team colors. You looking good.
Thank you.
You've lined up a fabulous guest list today.
Yeah, so today we've got Charles Allbaugh, CJ as we call him. He's a former Fluvanna County Board of Supervisor, has a dubious distinction of being a close personal friend of Yonna and I, and a CPA. So we're going to talk to him in a few minutes about, how all this COVID-19 and this CARE Act has impacted his world, and hopefully he can share some information to help the folks watching file their taxes or not file their taxes, or 1099s and so forth and so on. And then we've got Scott Morris coming in to talk about the federally backed mortgages and how, if you've lost your job, how you can do some deferment in the process and that. And then we've got a current Board of Supervisor for Fluvanna County coming in to talk about how things are going in Fluvanna County. And, Tony represents the Fluvanna district, which they've changed names, but at the end of the day, it's mostly Lake Monticello, which is approximately 4,200 homes. So it's a rather large, concentrated district. So I'm going to get out of the way and let you do your thing.
I love it, guys. And we got Anthony Gerard, the realtor. He says, Keith Smith, if you could, give Waynesboro some real estate love.
Oh, definitely.
I love that idea.
Yeah. We're doing multiple transactions over there. Love Waynesboro. Matter of fact, a little love out. We are doing a renovation on our house, and we drive to Waynesboro to Lowe's because they're well stocked. Actually was able to get wipes and bleach. So drive across the mountain, get some stuff.
We'll do Waynesboro, Anthony. Some love here, courtesy of Keith Smith. So here's a snapshot very quickly, and if you're listening, Charles, we're going to go to you in 30 seconds. In fact, I'm going to send you a Skype chat test that we're going to go to you in 30 seconds. We have a CPA. This is going to give you insight on how to file your taxes, both at the Commonwealth level and the federal level. A CPA on the program. We have a mortgage broker in Scott Morris. He's going to give you insight on what to do with your mortgage if things are tight right now in this COVID-19 ecosystem. And Tony O'Brien, a Fluvanna County Board of Supervisors. Keith Smith is the only person I know in Charlottesville that can make things like this happen.
Come on now.
I'm feeling good, baby.
Stop drinking so much coffee.
Judah, I'm going to call Charles. Charles, if you can hear this, we'll get you to turn down that speaker in the background on your end. And we have Charles on the line, Judah, so give us a heads up when you're ready to patch him through. Charles, you come with very high credentials from this gentleman, Keith Smith, on the program. So no pressure. You got a couple 100,000 people saying, get ready, Charles. We'll go to the line and we'll welcome Charles to the show. Before I get out of the way and pass it to Keith Smith, Charles, introduce yourself to the viewing public, passions, hobbies, and interests, what you're all about.
All right. Thank you very much, Jerry, for having me. And Keith, nice seeing you. Don't want to see you too much, though. Not with that mask on. No, you're welcome anytime over at my office. I'm Allbaugh. I am indeed a CPA. I've been a CPA in Virginia since 1997. I have a small office. Do I need to turn it on?
No, you're good. You're good.
It's me, buddy.
Okay. I have a small office at Lake Monticello where I prepare individual income taxes and business income taxes on a part-time basis. I do a little payroll as well. And the reason it's a part-time is because my real job is I'm the Chief Financial Officer of Central Virginia Health Services, which is a community health center-based system based in Buckingham, Virginia. And I've been there for 25 years, so I kind of do both. So this time of year is usually very, very busy for me. But the federal government did me a favor. I really wouldn't call it a favor. They did you all a favor by extending the due date until July 15th for the federal tax returns. Normally today and tomorrow I'd be just running around crazy, but now they're just going to prolong my agony until July. The Virginia due date has also been extended. Actually, the due date has not been extended. It's still May 1st for Virginia. However, Virginia has a automatic 6-month extension, but they have extended the payment due date to June 1st. A little disappointing that they did not conform with the federal federal due date of July 15th. It makes our jobs as CPAs a little bit more difficult when they don't. In the past, Virginia was after federal, so it was easier, but now it's before. So a little bit more planning to do that for some of my clients. So that's kind of who I am right now. And Jerry, let me know what you want to know, and I'll do my best to answer it.
So I'm going to jump in here and try to ask a few questions, but I'm going to start first and foremost. How are you and that beautiful wife of yours doing? Are you guys hanging in there?
Oh yeah, she's doing great. My wife is a registered nurse, and she is actually working at one of our health centers in Louisa, and on the front lines. And so she comes home, takes off her scrubs, goes straight up to the shower, and takes a shower before she even comes and gives me a hug. So we're very cognizant of the dangers of the COVID virus and taking all the precautions that we can. And even in my tax practice, I'm not really meeting clients. Only if we absolutely need to, we'll have them stay in the car and bring their taxes out to them. But I'm having them just drop them in my Dropbox, and then I do the taxes and try and have them sign electronically to just avoid that contact right now.
So some open-ended questions right here. So during the week, I get phone calls from clients and folks that we know that are just confused about this CARES Act and how it possibly impacts their taxes, right? So I know we talked about deferment dates on that, which is great. So thank you for sharing that. But, what about student loans? Do you know anything about that and how?
The student loans, and I got to refer to some notes because
sure.
When you have a $2 trillion act, you can't get. I can't even get all the IRS rules right without looking them up sometimes. So the student loans, the principal and interest payments are deferred or suspended until September 30th of 2020. So if you are on a student loan payment program, you can wait until September. If you are able to pay, now's a great time to do that because you're basically just paying down principal. So that would be, something I would encourage if you are able to do that. If you can't, you have until September.
So that's a great point. So you're saying that even if I make my student loan payment now, it's only the principal, they're not taking the interest?
Well, they're suspending the interest, so it would be, I'm not 100% sure, but I would think that if they're suspending interest, they're not deferring the interest.
Sure.
They are stopping the interest, and so any payments would go to principal.
So, again, important definitions, right? Deferment and suspension are two different words, mean two different things. So thank you for clarifying that. I would suggest, like we're going to talk to Scott Morris about the mortgage end of it, and the reason why this is important, our daughter and future son-in-law out in Seattle are up to here in student loan debt. So
he's a doctor.
He's a doctor.
Yeah, he should be. He should be. It's good debt for him.
We're happy about this, by the way. We're
He
good.
just has to
a
get out
doctor
of
in
it
the
now.
family's a good thing.
Yeah.
He could come work for us, and we have the National Health Service Corps.
Stop selling.
So
Stop selling. Stop selling. He's out in Seattle. They're happy. So, but the distinctions between the definitions are important, and I would assume that my daughter and my soon-to-be son-in-law would have to call their student loan servicer, right? They'd have to make some notification, or is this an automatic suspension?
I am not 100% sure. I believe it's a suspension, and that it's just automatic. But I would definitely check with your servicer to make sure. And that is a good distinction. A suspension versus a deferment. A lot of the mortgage companies are having deferments, but at the end of 3 months, your entire 3 months is due. So you have to keep
Sure.
that into account if you get a loan forbearance.
Well, we're going to talk about this with the loan officer who's coming up next.
right.
So, as you said, this $2 trillion and the conversations I'm having with some elected officials at the federal level, there's more coming down the pike. And we probably might have a fourth or a fifth stimulus package. And I know that your reading glasses are working overtime, but is there anything else that you digging through this that you can share?
Oh, there's lots.
Well,
there's lots.
we're running out of time. So.
Okay. And you may have to have me come on again because there is just so much information. Just quickly, do you want me to talk about the individual side at all, or just small business?
All of it, as much as possible.
Yeah, I would start with.
On the individual side, people are already receiving the stimulus payment of $1,200 per person and $2,400 for a married couple. If you have children under the age of 17, you get an extra $500. That is, if you're single, up to $75,000 in AGI, you have to file either adjusted gross income.
Thank you. Thank you.
My acronym, sorry.
Thank you.
So basically, how much money you made last year on your taxes. So $75,000 for single, $150,000 for married filing jointly. And then it prorates down if you go over that and phases out at about 100,000 and 200,000. And now, one distinction about that is that money that you're getting is a advance payment on a new tax credit that will be on your 2020 taxes. So if you are near any of those thresholds and go over, you may actually end up paying some of that back when you file your 2020 taxes.
So
interestingly,
let's slow down and re-explain that. So you're saying that if you take this, it's
automatic. They're just going to send it to you. You're not unless you want to send it back.
Really?
Yeah. They're direct depositing it into the direct deposit accounts. You got your refund in, so you have no choice. They're just dumping the money in your account.
Right. Now, another part of that though is there are a lot of people who are on Social Security or don't meet the income thresholds to file a tax return. If you're on Social Security, you are still going to automatically get this money. What you have to do, if you want to get it direct deposited, the IRS has set up a portal, and I can send you the link so you can put it on your website so that you can go in and put your direct deposit information in there. Now, there are a lot of scammers out there, so you have to be very careful if you're going to be putting in any of this information out on the internet. And so you want to make sure that you're actually on the IRS website when you do that.
All right, so can I jump in there? This is important. So basically, and what you're saying is, if you got your refund not through a direct deposit, but say your refund came in as a hard copy check in the mail.
Yes.
If you want to expedite receiving this $1,200 per person, $2,400 per married couple. If you have a kid, it would be $2,900, $1,200 plus $500. If you want to expedite,
depending on how old they are.
Depending on how old.
Age 17 or older, and claimed as a dependent. Like if they're in college, you don't get anything for them. It's kind of a gap that they didn't anticipate.
Right.
So anyway,
so the question I have for you, and I'm going to pass it back to Keith. So if you were getting your refund via check in the mail, you should go to an IRS portal. You'll send us the link, give the direct deposit information, and this will expedite this process for you of you individually getting $1,200, joint filing under $150,000 in salary, $2,400, and if you have a child, say 17 and under, that's a dependent, you get an additional $500. You can expedite this by going to an IRS portal and giving the information.
Yes, 16 and under, actually. As soon as you turn 17, then it goes away. So
that's valuable.
Yes, I'll send that to you. Yeah.
So we're giving great resources to folks so they can get some money into their accounts as soon as possible. As you know, the service industry, particularly the restaurant service, have been hit super hard in this crisis. We talk about this on the show all the time. Give back. We've been. Excuse me, my mask is coming down. As a high level, please reach out to those who are less fortunate than you. This is great information to get on out. So you we got some personal stuff out. What about the small businesses?
All right. So there are two avenues of approach for small businesses that I'm recommending. First is the Economic Disaster Loan Program, which you apply for on the SBA website, www.sba.gov. And it's a very simple, it took me like 2 minutes to help people apply for it. And it's based, you can get up to $10,000 as an advanced grant that does not have to be paid back. It's based on the number of employees that you had at January 31st of 2020 at $1,000 per employee. And that is automatic. As soon as they may run out of money. So you can still apply for it. And then they also have the actual loan. There have been very few people businesses that have gotten the EIDL yet. I just learned of one of my clients just got it this morning, and she got $2,000 for a two-person S corporation. So that was good. So money's starting to flow. You have to realize they passed a huge bill, and the SBA is doing all the best that they can to process millions of loans. When all of last year they processed $2 billion in loans. And now all of a sudden they got trillion,
Sure.
$350 billion for the PPP loan, which is the Payroll Protection Program Act, which is the second thing that people should be doing. You have to apply through that program through your bank. You do not apply for that on the SBA website. So what you want to do is contact your bank, and they will have, each bank is a little bit different. They may have a portal. They may have you send in the hard documents. And that's a very important program that if you keep people employed, you can have that. It starts out as a loan and then is forgiven as a grant after June 30th. And that's a very important one. That has been bottlenecked as well. Hopefully that's going to start flowing a little bit more as SBA is hiring thousands of people to help work on this.
This question is coming from everybody, and this is on the feed right now. I'm getting direct messages with this question for you as well, Charles. Mm-hmm. Do small businesses and small business owners, should they be at all concerned or apprehensive that the SBA is giving them money? This is essentially the DMV of small businesses, right? The SBA is giving you money, and then now the SBA somehow is in your pocket, or you're beholden to the SBA moving forward. Is that a legitimate fear? Because a lot of small business owners have that fear of taking this money, and then what's on the back end, expectations SBA-wise and their business?
Before you accept the money, they are going to send you a loan document that you need to review very, very carefully, because there are certain conditions that you have to meet. 75% of that loan has to be spent on payroll. So you can't just take this money and pay your mortgage or pay all your other bills. Now, 25% can be used on rent, utilities, mortgage interest if you have a mortgage through your business. But this is payroll protection. They want people working. And so that's why, at least being paid to work. In some industries, the restaurant industry really can't work. But if you can pay your employees so that they're not, so that they're getting an income so that they can pay their bills, it all just rolls downhill. And so you have to follow those guidelines very strictly. Otherwise, it is not forgiven and becomes a loan that you will have to pay back. But if you follow the rules, then from all, everything that I've read, it should be forgiven as a grant and not taxable to you as well.
So we always should follow the rules, so that's a golden rule, right? so that's pretty simple for everybody. So hey, CJ, we've got to move on to the next guest. Thank you.
Back on. He's great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I need you to look at your calendar and see what next Tuesday looks like, because Jerry's feed is blowing up.
Yeah, it's blowing up right now. Charles, you're blowing up the feed right now.
Yeah, it's the goatee, man. It's the goatee. So we'll talk offline. This is exactly the information we're trying to get out. As you know, we pivoted to a Tuesday and Friday show, so we'll talk offline. But this is good, real world everyday
Strategy.
information that
Yeah.
we need to get out because people are just flat out scared,
Yeah.
and we just need to provide them.
They are, and this is a time when we all need to come together. Who cares about politics? Don't, it's a bunch of noise, in my opinion. All closer than we are further apart. It's just a few degrees of just differences. We're more alike than we are different, and we all need to just treat each other as human beings and do the best that we can. That's the way I feel.
Amen, brother.
Amen, brother.
That's why I love you. All righty, so we're going to jump off. We'll talk to try to get you back on. So take some notes. Thank you, man. Bye-bye.
Charles, thank you. You were great. Charles crushed it today. Thank you for joining us on the program. We're going to get Scott Morris, a mortgage officer, on the program here in about 90 seconds to give you insight on what to do with mortgages in your life. Keith, props to you for bringing him on. And then props to Charles here because people are scared and they want these answers.
So we just run out of time, but I wanted to talk to him a little bit about, his primary profession, which is the community healthcare centers that he's the chief financial officer on. And I think next time we bring him on, we'll talk about that because his centers are in the front lines of this, right? And so I just love to have him share some experiences on that. He's always been a close, dear friend and provide some pretty good counsel.
I love it. I love it. Judah, I'm going to reach out to Scott Morris now. I'm giving you a heads up. We're going to archive this show. A lot of people are asking about this content because we have a CPA to talk personal. We have a mortgage officer to talk home mortgage. And we have a board of supervisors from Fluvanna coming out at the bottom of the hour in the 11 o'clock hour. A lot of people are asking where they can get this show. You can find it at the YesTeamRealtors.com. The YesTeamRealtors.com. We'll also archive it across the I Love CVille Network. Judah, I'm reaching out to Scott Morris now. Great guest in Charles.
Thank you. Thank you.
Scott Morris, we're going to go to you in about 10 seconds. Scott, make sure you look good. Everything sounds good. Judah, I'm going to go to Scott in 10 seconds. Before we go to Scott, introduce your buddy Scott Morris to us.
Yeah, so I failed to mention with Charles. Charles was also former service. He was in the Army back in the 80s. Scott's a fellow Marine, a rock star in the mortgage world. And we tried to do this a few weeks ago. We had some technical difficulties. We got through this. But we really want to talk a little bit about, hey, I'm furloughed. I just lost my job. What's available to me either on the federally backed loans and whatever, because we don't want to have another foreclosure crisis like we had last time. And I think the federal government, regardless of all its struggles, I think got this one right.
Yeah, I agree.
So we'll let you intro Scott, and we'll just take it from there.
All right, Judah Whitcower, our director, let's go to the line. Scott Morris, you are live across the I Love CVille Network for Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on Real Talk. First question, and I'm going to get out of the way. Introduce yourself to the viewing public. Before we talk shop, what's Scott all about? Hobbies, passions, interests? Show is yours, Scott.
Good morning, gentlemen. Hobbies, interests. I've got two little twins at 22 months old that kind of run the show around here at the moment. I've got chickens, spend a lot of time cutting grass. I'm not that exciting. I'm all work and, do what I can to get out and about when I can.
Chickens, really, huh?
It's all about the chickens, man.
Scott.
All righty. So I'm trying to pivot from the chickens and the mental picture of that, but I'll try to do that. So, hey, man, thank you for being here. Thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for helping to get some information out. I don't know if you had an opportunity to watch Charles's section, but he really tackled this thing head on from a CPA and taxes perspective on personal and business, and we're going to have him come back on to share some more good information. But we're getting a lot of phone calls, hey, I just lost my job, I'm furloughed, I may not be able to pay my mortgage payment. So I really want to spend a few minutes talking about what that looks like and how we can help folks, frankly, stay out of trouble, stay out of the I don't even want to use the word, right? Just to stay out of trouble. So I'm going to get out of the way. I'm going to let you talk a little bit. Maybe you can start with the federally backed loans and talk about that process, and then we can move on from there.
Awesome. So, I think the government did do a great job of getting quickly involved. The key here is it's going to prevent from putting more foreclosures on the market, and that's just something that's good for the housing business all around. There's some things to think about, though. if this is something you don't have to do, don't go about trying to get involved in it. It really is going to cause you more pain down the road. Now, for somebody who's actually lost a job, who doesn't have another option, this is something they need to think about. But the first thing that they're going to need to do is contact their current servicer and see ask the questions. What are the repayments going to look like? Is it something they're going to require you to, in a lump sum? Is it something that they're going to work out a secretary loan where essentially you have a second? You probably want to find out more about repayment structure than to just get into forbearance and then 6 months from now have a plan that doesn't really accommodate what works for you.
Let me ask you this question. And Scott, you're loud and clear. You look good. Everybody's loving this. I got questions coming in. I got a ton of realtors watching right now. Roger Voisinay, welcome to the program. You have 8 firms watching this show from a realtor standpoint. I'm going to get out of the way. I'm going to throw this to you. Why did you say this may cause you more headaches down the road?
Well, look at the way it's written. So this cannot impact your credit score. They can't report that negatively against you. However, it will affect how lenders view you. Let's say that you wanted to go ahead and do a refinance, but you've gone ahead and gone into forbearance. Now, that may not affect your score, but when an underwriter or somebody goes in to look at your payment history, and this gap of payments is going to affect you, there's already people out there that if you've gone into forbearance are not going to then turn around and allow a refinance to occur. So outside of that, you're also going to be looking in the fact that you're getting behind the ball on your amortization schedule. So if you could have held on for 6 months and but you thought that it was the safe thing to do, now all of a sudden you're almost another year behind in repaying that mortgage.
So I totally understand that. We understand amortization tables, right? This is the world that we live in. We understand that, and it's pretty clear. We talked about this with Charles. I call him CJ. With CJ, there's the forbearance or deferment is on the back end, right? So they're going to take all this interest, and you're just going to get tacked on.
It's going to stack on the back end.
It's stacked on the back end.
Yeah.
But here's the reality of it: if you're a restaurant worker and you can't pay your mortgage payment, it's
better than losing your house.
You need to take advantage of that.
Sure. Well, no, 100%. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. But my point is, if you are not that individual trying to take advantage of this program, it also is going to affect the real estate market down the road. The more people who jump in on this that may not need it is going to affect funding and future programs and how we can really help those same individuals, 2 years from now.
Well, I appreciate that, but let's get there first, right? At the moment, we're not. We got to get through today and get there. I know, something Yonna and I are looking at doing, right? Our business is substantially down, impacted on this. We're blessed. We've got maybe a little bit more working capital than most. So we're actually, as you know, we're looking at refining our house, right? Looking at it from that different perspective because, there's enough delta between what we're currently at and where you might be able to get us to, that may be a better path to look at, right? Than tacking this all on the back end of it. So I do want to talk about contact your service provider, right? Let's talk about what that means. So again, phone calls, we're receiving phone calls all week long. Loans get sold, right? And I may do a loan with you, and then all of a sudden the service provider is somebody else. So let's talk about where they can find it, that information. Where can they actually find a phone number to call? We're a typical place to look at. Most folks don't do paper anymore. It's all online. So if you could just chime in a little bit and help guide people to where they can make that phone call.
So whether it's whoever the servicer is, PennyMac, any of these, the secondaries that typically pick these up, you're going to want to go to that, look at your mortgage statement, Google that company. Then once you're on that main page, go to contact us, and they're going to give you the very first thing that it pops up on all of these sites now is they have forbearance like applications right there on the page. So they're linking you right into that as soon as you're Googling them. That's your very first step. And as soon as you call in, they try to redirect you back to those websites as well. So if you have a paper mortgage statement, take a look at that, see who it is, see if there's a number listed at the bottom. If not, Google that and then follow the contact us to figure out who you need to be talking to or what actions you need to be taking through that specific provider in order to start that forbearance process.
We have a lot of questions coming in. This is a really good one. So the beautiful thing about this show, Scott, is it's super dynamic. People are watching on 12 Facebook pages, realtors, entrepreneurs, business owners, and they can type their questions in, and we will relay them to you, the expert. This is coming from a chief executive officer, a small business owner who has 31 team members. He owns CVille Hop-On Tours, Andre Xavier. He also owns a travel agency in Charlottesville. He has this question for you. Scott, how difficult will it be to secure a mortgage for an investment property in about 6 months from now? I'm going to add to this. I saw yesterday on CNBC where Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan Chase, he said that getting loans in the future may be more difficult because things may be more stringent. Agree, disagree? Your thoughts on Andre's question and Jamie Dimon's comment from yesterday?
Agree. It's already happening, but at the same time, it really is going to be very situational specific. If you're someone who's applying for a conventional loan, there's a ton of products and companies out there that are geared towards helping those purchasers be able to complete a transaction with the current requirements. There are going to be other companies who are going to put things in place to become a little more tight, which also goes back to my original point of if you are someone who does not have to try to take advantage of this forbearance process, because they put very few limitations on proving your hardship, then don't do it. Because the more people who take advantage of forbearance who may not need it are then going to cause a further impact down the road in what we're going to see in the tightening of lending requirements.
So I'm an internal optimist, right? I'm always looking at the bright side of things. And, just like CJ said before he came up, I really believe in my heart and soul, people are going to do the right thing, right? So, maybe it's naive on my end, but
that's why I like you.
I really believe people are going to do the right thing.
Right.
Yonna and I are looking at this for that very reason and going, okay, we do qualify for this, but we're in a position in our lives that maybe we'll just do the refi, and maybe that'll help us get through this, and that will leave this pot available to somebody else, right? So I remain, positive. We'll see this. I mean, I don't know how you're seeing it in your world, but in my world, people are being kinder to one another. My God, that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
So I do want to answer that question. So Scott's on the retail side, right? So he must be reading my mind. I'm trying to bring in a friend of mine who is a commercial lender, and we will get that question answered from a commercial perspective. That's not really Scott's.
Sure. Cup of tea.
Cup of tea.
I got it. I do have another question coming in. This is coming in from Tim in Crozet. He says, if we're thinking about refining, do we do it now with concerns that the opportunities are not going to be on the horizon a few months down the road, maybe in the back end of 2020?
Great question.
So a couple of different points to that. Absolutely. If you're well qualified, one, rates are still really good. Now's a great time to refinance. The other thing, contact whoever it is that you want to work with and get that process started so that you can clear those underwriting requirements. And because of the level activity, there's still a lot of purchase activity. There's still a lot of refinance activity taking place. So the sooner you can go ahead and go about that. And the other thing is, if you're doing it because you want to take cash out because you're concerned that you might need money down the road because you've got some sort of worry about what your job future looks like, get ahead of the curve if that's what you're looking to do. Do it now while you can do it, as opposed to doing it when you wish you had done it because then you need the money.
Good point.
Literally, that's the path the owner and I are taking, based on your advice, by the way. So thank you. So, we're going to have to pivot here shortly to Tony O'Brien, who's the Fluvanna County Board of Supervisors, kind of get some information.
I'm a Fluco boy myself.
I know that. This was an all Fluvanna show. CJ's out in Fluvanna, you're a Fluco, and Tony's a Fluco. So, but hey, the last couple of minutes we got, anything else you want to share that you think folks need to know about?
It's not as cloudy as it seems. I really think, positive attitude and going about, if you're someone who can, if you had the intent to purchase, nothing's changing in your world. If you're not already aware of it, keep going about doing what you think are making good decisions, and good things are going to continue to happen.
I got another.
Sure, of course. Yeah.
I have maybe 18 different realtors asking this question about rates. Everybody wants to know where rates are heading. I mean, the scuttlebutt was rates could drop below 3. We're seeing them trickling up. Where do we see rates going from here to the end of 2020?
You're going to continue to see a lot of volatility, but ultimately, I think what's going to lead us to the future is probably somewhere in that 3 to 3.5 range. Falling into the 2s, I don't know. I just don't. I don't see how that's truly profitable for anybody down the road. And just keep a look at things like the 10-year bond market and where that. As things go up and down, I think that middle range is probably between 3 and 3.5, but that is a wild crystal ball guess.
Sure.
So what I do is I bug him every morning and all my other mortgage friends and say, okay, what is the rate
Scott,
today?
do you get text messages from Smith at 5:30 in the morning?
I responded to him at 5:35 today.
Holy shit.
He's a Marine. He's supposed to be up, right?
I have a 2-year-old, Scott. He was waking up my kid. My wife said, your clients can't text us at 5:30 in the morning, dude. They're waking up our kid.
He has twins.
Oh, so you get it, dude. You get it.
Yes.
Love you, man.
I learned like the parenting lesson, don't give your kids sugar for breakfast on Easter, which was an amazing experience for me at 6 p.m. when they were like melting down from the day's activity.
Love you, man. Thank
Scott
you.
Morris, you're a great people. We got to get you back on the show. You killed it today, dude.
Awesome.
You have a good one. Scott Morris, great job, buddy. I love that guy.
Oh, yeah. I didn't, as he said, Fluco, I didn't realize that this is an all Fluvanna show today. So we're... So Tony's coming on board.
Introduce him.
Yeah. So Tony again is another rock star. I'll let him tell him a little bit about himself. But I believe he's on his second term as Fluvanna County Board of Supervisor for the Ravenna District, and somewhere around 2000, there was a little bit of gerrymandering, and part of the lake got cut off to another district, but. By and far, Tony handles pretty much the largest population in Fluvanna, concentrated population anyway, in Fluvanna County, which is Lake Monticello. There's roughly 4,200 homes there.
That's a lot of homes.
Yeah.
There's 4,200 homes in the gate?
It's total project.
Okay. How about in the gate?
That I couldn't tell you.
Is Lake Monticello the largest gated community in Central Virginia?
I'm going to say yes, but I don't know that for a fact.
There's 830 homes in Glenmore. Do you think the Lake Monticello has more than that?
Oh, I know it does. It's literally 4,200 homes. That I can tell you.
But that's not only in the gate.
No, it's different sections. There's 3 sections.
That's
or 4
huge.
sections. Yeah, there's 4,500 lots, and there's roughly 4,200 homes. Excuse me, Mike.
That is humongous.
Yeah.
So this guy's got a lot of, a lot of pressure, a lot of importance, a lot of influence, a lot of people counting on him.
The reason I Tony's just an outstanding individual, but again, we've brought on I apologize. We brought in Charlottesville, Allbaugh, which we're bringing back again, and trying to reach out to the other jurisdictions to bring in some elected officials to say, hey, what's going on in your part of the world, and how can you get some good information out?
I love it. So Tony O'Brien, Judah, I'm reaching out to him, Board of Supervisors, Lake Monticello. Tony, you're looking good, baby. Judah, are we ready to welcome Tony to the program? All right, I like the picture in the background. Keith Smith's going deep in the Rolodex. Give us that A-OK. We have a fabulous program here. Tony, you are live on the I Love CVille Network for Charlottesville, Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world. Tony, I'm going to get out of your way. Before we talk shop, here's what I'd like to hear from you, sir. Who is Tony O'Brien? What are your passions, your hobbies, your interests? What are you all about, Tony?
My passions and interests are really my family, and I love to water ski. It's one of the reasons why I moved to the lake. I'm a pretty active triathlete. In the past, I have been. Not enough hours in a day. I own my own business in Charlottesville, and have had the pleasure of serving on the board for the last 6.5 years, and made some really terrific friends and had some terrific opportunities to learn so much about how everybody serves their county and what a difference it makes when you have a dynamic and vibrant county with people who care about it.
Tony, good morning to you.
Hey, Keith, how are you doing? Good to
I'm
see you.
doing great. How about you, my friend?
Can't complain. Always a pleasure.
So, do me a favor. Let's tell me about your family. How's everybody's doing. How's your daughter and your wife? Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I got away from the microphone here.
Yeah. My daughter is at UVA, and she's doing well. She's hunkered down in Richmond right now with her boyfriend, and they have an exposure to a COVID patient there, so they're quarantining themselves.
Good for them.
They're doing very well as well, and for the most part, we're doing fine. We can't complain.
So we're going to talk Fluvanna County a little bit, from a board of supervisors perspective. But at the end of it, I know you're a local business owner, so I'd like to try to talk a little bit about that on the back end of it. But so what we've been doing is we've been bringing one elected official from each jurisdiction on the show and try to just talk about it. What's going on in Fluvanna County, where can people get information, and anywhere you want to go with this. What information that you want to get out to the general public. As you know, you represent from a concentrated perspective, probably the more folks in the most concentrated area of any district in Fluvanna County. So, as Jerry would say, the show is yours. Tony, share away.
Well, right now in Fluvanna County, we're sharing a lot of information through my 2 cents, and we'll communicate from that standpoint. The county offices are closed for people visiting, but they are open as far as individuals calling in and servicing them from that standpoint. There's an awful lot of community involvement, which is helping to serve those that are sheltered in place. In particular, Yonna Meals Rotary Club is going to be putting a program together on Thursday to pass out some additional food bank side for those who need it from that end point. And then on the health side, of course, we're getting regular updates as to what's happening in Fluvanna as board of supervisors. As you may have heard, there was an incident at one of the nursing homes there, and that's a big concern right now. So we're talking about what we can do to help the situation there. But it's safe to say that COVID is alive and well in Fluvanna right now, and I really appreciate everybody who's staying at home and doing the right thing from that standpoint. Needless to say, anybody can contact their board of supervisor. I certainly encourage them to do that with ideas, with concerns, and you can contact all of us by sending a message to bos@fluvannacounty.org. So those are some terrific ways to get a hold of us and to let us know what your concerns and thoughts are. And from the county perspective, of course, they're coordinating very closely with the governor's office, trying to make sure that we're staying on top of everything from that end.
So we've been asking some of the other elected officials the same question. Of course, we're on a Facebook Live program, so the people watching this have computers, have the ability to do that. We have been handing out or been talking to people off the internet world. Is there a phone number or something that somebody can call in Fluvanna County that they do not have the ability to get on? And if you don't have it available at the moment, if you could just put it in the feed or send it to me so we can push it out. Some of the other jurisdictions, they're handing out flyers in some neighborhoods that don't have. Now, you and I know Fluvanna County struggles with broadband, right? So
We're making a lot of changes.
I want to talk about that because that's a really good thing to talk about on that. But if we can just figure out a way, if you can get us some sort of number or something that somebody can call if they want information, they can get help, so we can help spread the word.
The main phone number is 434-591-1910, and that should get you to an operator who will route you to the correct department from that end. I'm sure a lot of people are concerned about their upcoming tax payments, and I can tell you that we're working with the treasurer to provide a grace period there on late payments. I can also tell you that as the board is looking at the budget season right now, we're certainly facing some challenges around that because, well, we had a really exciting budget that was going to accomplish an awful lot for all of our core services and provide some raises for teachers and do some of those things. Our revenue forecasts are changing by the minute, and so we're waiting to see what the House is going to do here from that standpoint, and they're meeting again on August 22nd. They'll probably be adjusting their budget, and then on August 29th, we're going to come back and look closely at what we can do to keep the rate down as low as possible, while also keeping an eye into the future and helping citizens through this difficult time.
So I'm going to pivot a little bit and talk about broadband, right? You've been an advocate in Fluvanna County for that probably as long as I've known you, and frankly, the truth be known, if it wasn't for you, I'm not sure we would have gotten to where we are. In today's world, lost you there for a second. That's it.
We got you, Tony.
Okay, Tony. I'm sorry I offended you, Tony.
I like your style.
Okay, Tony. Bye-bye. See you later. Goodbye, 253,000 people. So thank you for the chuckle. But in today's world, right, in this COVID-19 and possibly post-COVID-19, broadband is so important. So I know that Fluvanna County is working with the Central Virginia Electric Co-op, and there's some exciting stuff going on here where we almost can, dare I say, over time, most of, if not all of Fluvanna County will have broadband. Is that a fair statement?
Well, about 65%
Okay.
of Fluvanna County will have high-speed internet from Firefly, which is an arm of CVEC, and they're already in the Troy area. They've already turned up some folks there. I know that they're moving down further into the Cunningham and into the Columbia area. Where we're going to have some challenges is really on the far end of Fort Union. That is Dominion territory. And while we're trying to coordinate with them and find some ways that we can bring broadband to that point, at present, right now, we're not going to have that available. So on the bright side, though, Fluvanna County is probably going to be the most connected rural broadband county in the area. And I think that bodes really well for more publicity to the area. And of course, as we're learning right now, there's probably going to be a sea change in terms of people working from home.
Sure.
Beyond this crisis.
So that's the reason I brought it up.
It's a good question.
And I can tell you from our real estate perspective, when we're starting to get phone calls, at least in the last few weeks, folks want a little room around them now, and I need to have high-speed internet, right? So
Interesting.
my hat's off to Fluvanna County and you particularly, because I know that you were the champion for this literally for decades. So thank you very much. So, hey, one quick question, and then, we're getting up against the wall on time here. So is your business doing good? How's that coming along for you?
Yeah, I mean, we're in the IT services businesses, so we've had an opportunity to serve a lot of our clients to help get them onto remote working from home. A lot of them are very comfortable now with the technology. We're here to answer their questions. Of course, we're here to answer anybody's questions. If they want to reach us, we're happy to help. That's at Heels. As a business owner, of course, I'm concerned about what the future holds, how long we're going to be sheltered in place, and the impact it's going to have on my customer base and challenges they're going to face. So we're working hard with our customers to try to be as accommodating as possible. I agree with Charles Allbaugh and saying that, and with you as well too, and saying that so far the stimulus package that's been put in place, the rescue packages, is really vital to small businesses. I think that without that stimulus package in place, we really see a cascading effect. I should also share and agree with Scott's comments too on what's going on with the mortgage market. I imagine that's going to be touched, and certainly, when we talk about it, from the county's perspective, the health of the mortgage market is really important as well too. Particularly in Fluvanna, where we receive so much of our revenues from real estate taxes. So these are all sort of long-term concerns that I have, but with a little grace from God, perhaps we'll get through this a little bit quicker than we hope, than we think, and we'll do so safely.
Amen. Amen. So
Important part
So Tony, thank you very much. I know you're a busy guy. I know you're trying to run a business and put 40 to 60 hours of work as a board of supervisor. So thank you for taking the time out. I know you're an extremely busy man. So Scott got a 5:30 text from me. I got a text from him like at 9:30 at night.
If I mention one last thing that wasn't mentioned, as a business owner, I know this. If you happen to have an SBA 7 loan, you can't defer payments on that without it being a forbearance. So for any business owners out there with an SBA 7 loan, you can defer both your mortgage and interest payments for up to 6 months, I believe.
Cool.
Which can be real
Thank
low.
you.
So certainly recommend that folks look at that.
Tony, thank you. I'm going to welcome you back here in the next couple of weeks to give an update. So take some notes, and looking forward to seeing you. My best to the family, and stay safe and stay positive, my friend.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Tony, you were great, man. Have a good one, Tony. Great work today, buddy. Tony, excellent work. I'm going to cut to the chase. I'm going to embarrass you and give you some props.
Uh-oh.
Everyone in this world has had to pivot in some capacity because of COVID-19. We've had to pivot. This set, this network, this studio, today went well.
Thank you. Well, we're getting better at this.
Can you see it?
Yeah, we're getting
You
better.
feel
We're getting better at this.
Yeah.
I'm learning technology fast.
Everybody is.
Everybody's learning it.
Yeah.
I knew, first of all our guests were rock stars.
Yeah.
But I knew CJ was going to really do well. And, I have so many notes here that I have not gotten to.
Right.
Like, for instance, a rather technical term, but the net operating losses, there's some language buried into this CARES Act that can help that. And that has a direct impact on taxes. And so, we're going to bring him back. I'm going to have to do a little sweet talking. So, but we'll.
You're good at that.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'm going to try to, as long as Yonna and I can do this, we're going to continue to bring on guests and try to do 2 shows a week so we can get more information out. I would like to shout out. So, if anybody's on the feed, if there's a specific topic or a specific guest or something that you would like to hear more from, please reach out in the feed or private message me directly, and I will start working the phones and see if we can get a guest to do that. We're working on bringing back Congressman Riggleman to give us an update on any future. It looks like there's going to be 4 or 5, a 4th version of this stimulus and possibly a 5th. So anyway, just stay tuned, and we're going to try to bring more information on.
Chris Stevenson's watching at the lake. He says, Tony O'Brien, thank you for your service and everything you have done from Fluvanna County. Chris, thank you for giving that shout out. Keith, you're getting this question from Raymond Beal.
Oh.
Did you shave your mustache? I don't think he did. He previously had a different mask that had a white mustache on it. The mustache is still there.
So
he's just being healthy. Corbett Snow's Garden Center, welcome to the program. Joseph Gentile, our buddy on Long Island,
Joe, how's it going, man?
Joe, we love you, baby. Pearl certification is the best. Joseph Gentile. Michael Guthrie, Roy Wheeler, welcome to the program. 9 firms watching the show. Here's what I learned today. Okay, I learned that you know a lot of smart people. I know that when you line up a CPA and Charles Allbaugh, Scott Morris, a mortgage broker, and Tony O'Brien, a board of supervisor, that you're making everyone that's watching this show smarter. And we're doing it in an approachable type of setting. I learned that Tony's committed to the community.
Sure.
I learned that listen to Scott. Scott said, look, if you don't have to use this program, don't do it. That's the kind of advice that we want to hear.
So frankly, Yonna and I are talking to him and to other loan officers, and that's what I'm hearing. And so we just felt that this was the ability to get that information out.
Well, you did a hell of a job today. Thank you guys for joining us on the program.
I can't drink my coffee while on the show. It's getting very frustrating.
Topic from Tim. Tim says, Keith, can you talk multi-family homes?
Sure.
Multi-family investment.
Sure.
And what's the future for multifamily if mortgage rates do get tighter and it might be difficult to get into those type of properties? That's a good topic right there.
Okay. So multifamily and possibly commercial.
Yeah. Well, multifamily is what's being asked. Commercial would be a good one.
Well, I'm thinking a commercial lender.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah. So there's a difference, and so we'll do that. probably going to save that. We're kind of booked for the rest of
Yeah.
the month, but we'll see what next month looks like. But I like the idea. Thank
What
you.
do you think? What do you think? Show's yours. What do you think about what you learned today?
You know, even though I talk to my CPA on a regular basis, I just learned a ton of information that I did not know before this phone call. And all I ended up doing was writing a ton more questions. So,
Yeah.
you know, and look, what I learned is I'm blessed to be able to reach out to people that I've developed relationships over the years and say, hey, let's help get some information out. So
We talked about the largest earlier in the show. Yonna, your better 7/8 is helping us with that answer. We were talking about what are the largest gated communities in Central Virginia, and Keith and I were deliberating whether it was Glenmore or Lake Monticello. Yonna, the brains of this operation,
Sure.
jumps in and says, no, gentlemen. I think it's Smith Mountain Lake. So, and she's totally right. It's got to be Smith Mountain Lake, right? 830 in Glenmore, more in Lake. Smith Mountain Lake might be the number one largest gated community in Central Virginia.
So I'm not going to contradict her. So as far as I'm concerned, she's right.
Yonna, you are right.
You
Yes,
were
ma'am.
right. Yes, dear.
Yes, dear. She says, honey, make sure you give some props to the healthcare workers.
Thank you. So actually, my uncle is working at UVA, and he's in the middle of this stuff. So absolutely, healthcare workers, they are, they're on the front lines, man.
Yeah.
They are, I know we talked about 9/11 before on the show, but they are our first responders. They are our first line of defense. So give them some love. If you know one, call them up, say, I love you, thank you for what you're doing. I talk to my uncle all the time. It's like, thank you.
Well
thank
said.
you.
Michael Guthrie, CEO of Roy Wheeler, says maybe Old Trail. Old Trail's a large community, but not gated. Not gated in
Sure.
Old Trail.
I'm not so sure Smith Mountain's gated either.
Is
But,
Smith Mountain Lake gated?
Can
someone tell us, is Smith Mountain Lake gated? We just, in conversation, we were spitballing what was the largest gated community in Central Virginia. Our star of the program, I think, might be right on this. And Chris Henry's watching the program now. And Lake Monticello, I think you might be right.
I think Lake Monticello is the largest gated community.
Yeah.
Community.
Anybody know? Put it in the feed
So
right now.
we'll get that answer. Hey, that's a good trivia question.
We should save it for Friday.
We'll save that for Friday. No Googling allowed between now and Friday.
She will look. I don't know Googling.
No Googling.
She will look into the answer and confirm. She says.
So I'm texting a friend of mine who lives in Smith Mountain Lake, but I am pretty sure it is not
gated.
It's not gated.
Okay.
There's communities. It's kind of like Lake Anna, right? There's communities around the lakes.
Right. That's what I remember, but I'm not going to.
No,
challenge.
that's what he's just confirmed.
He did confirm.
Yeah.
Okay. Throw this to you. Friday show, my friend.
Yeah. So unfortunately, this is moving so fluid,
So
super fluid. I've got guests floating all around. It might, we're the answer is we're still trying to set the schedule. So.
Fantastic.
Did
Friday?
I waffle enough on that one?
No, I appreciate your honesty.
It's moving.
You're like, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Tuesday, Jerry. Real Talk is powered by the Yes Team Realtors. This gentleman, his beautiful 7/8, Yonna Smith, they're putting together a program that is pivoted slightly from the real estate model and is just offering insight to help us survive, stay positive, stay afloat, and continue going 2 steps forward, Keith.
Not that complicated. That's what we're trying to do.
It's beautiful.
So, yeah, and our chemistry still continues to
see
grow.
it.
Even though you can't see my face. So the mustache thing from my buddy Ray. So Ray, they're giving a shout out to my buddy Ray.
Dan Pettit wants the mustache back too. He's watching.
All right, Dan, I'll get it back.
He's got a mustache. He wants a fellow mustache brother.
I'll get it back. It blew off literally from walking from Marie Beth to here. It blew off, so that's what happened.
Well, I thank you guys all for joining us. This show broadcasted across 12 Facebook pages powered by the Yes Team Realtors. We'll archive the show on the YesTeamRealtors.com. For the next 2 weeks, we'll syndicate the show across the I Love CVille Network, which reaches just over 250,000 people. It's just a pleasure to be with you and connect with you through this platform. We share a common phrase, my friend, and then close it on this. Stay positive, move forward, pivot, innovate, keep your head up. You're going to take your licks through this. Take your lick, but don't let it knock you down.
So our mantra, and I think Judah has the
Put it
thing,
on the screen there,
you can
J-Dubs.
put it on the screen. Stay safe and stay positive. That's it. It's that simple. Just stay safe and stay positive. And I think add one thing to that. Let's be kind to others,
Yes,
right?
sir.
You know, and reach out to somebody who's in need and say, hey, what can I do to help you?
Beautiful show. Beautiful show. Go Virginia, Dan Pettit says. Give Dan a little razzle back.
No, Dan, I'm not going to do that.
Let's go.
That's what he wants. He's baiting me. He wants this.
Yonna is correcting you. She's writing copy from a listing. She says, Keith, this is a copy from one of the listings. This truly gorgeous home in a beautiful gated waterfront community on Smith Mountain Lake with spectacular lake views, breathtaking sunsets is a must-see. Includes covered boat slip and a community pool in Sandy Beach. I'm not going against the better 7/8.
You know, I should have kept my mouth shut. You know, it's my. We were talking. Yonna and I were talking about this on the way in. My grandmother, God rest her soul, used to say to me, she says, Keithy, she was Irish, she says, Keithy, me boy, when they vaccinated you, they used a phonograph needle instead of a hypodermic needle. And then she said, shut the hell up.
The Irish women are tough.
Oh, yeah.
My wife, her family,
yeah.
full Irish.
Oh, yeah.
Family, like off the boat Irish.
Oh, yeah.
They tough cookies, dude.
I think I told the story once before. My grandmother used to throw the 50 cents from the fourth floor. Did I ever tell you that story?
No.
Yeah, so it was in Brooklyn. My grandmother would throw 50 cents, actually from the fifth story. It was a 5-story walkout.
She'd throw quarters off a 5-story building?
She would wrap it up in a piece of paper. We were a kid playing stickball in the street. We throw it down. On the corner was O'Malley's. It was O'Malley's bar.
Okay.
So I'd get the 50 cents. I'd go sit on the bar, give the 50 cents to the bartender. I would get a quart of beer, and I'd walk it all the way up to my grandmother. She'd give me 2 cents, and I'd walk all the way down. On the opposite corner was a candy store, and I got some candy.
So that, from the 5th floor in Brooklyn, she'd throw you 50 cents to O'Malley's pub. How old were you?
Oh, I don't know, 5 or 6.
6-year-old Keith Smith goes into a bar, gets a quart of beer.
Is this a joke?
No, is this true?
That's true, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Wow. I love it.
But the deal was I got candy.
Hey, I mean, you got 2 cents of candy. What'd you buy for 2 cents?
Back in those days, a couple of Bazooka bubble gums.
I love Bazooka.
Penny a piece.
Very nice. Very nice. This is Real Talk, guys. Trusted advisors in the game, the Yes Team Realtors. We went long because it was a fabulous show. Thank you, my friend.
My pleasure. Looking forward to Friday, guys.
I'm looking forward to Friday,
be
guys.
Be safe and be positive.
Be safe and be positive.
There
Take
you go.
care, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Nicely done, Judah.
Well done, Judah. Thank you.
Great show today, guys. Seriously, a great show.
My mask kept on coming down on me.
Killed it, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
We're going to get some headshots here, J-Dubs. Okay. Judah, great work.
I knew somebody was going to bust my balls about the. Is this off? Are these off?